blah, 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 blah. Tip of the tongue to teeth the lips. Tip of the tongue to teeth the lips. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Redraft Show, patent pending. This is the rankings edition. Today we're going to rank the top 5 books in AJ Brown's book club after last night's riveting performance. But if you're watching this, it's going to be, at some point on Saturday, and hopefully you've already got your lineups locked in. We're not doing tinker stinkers. We're not doing things that are going to cause us more pain than inevitably the fantasy football season will cause us pain or progress than the fantasy football season is going to bring us just by naturally being that time of year. So without further ado, like I said, we're going to get into AJ Brown. No, I'm kidding. But we are going to get into my top 36 for the week. We're going to run through this pretty quick because I want you to stay here for the entire thing. And I just want to highlight a couple differences between what the model projected for this week and what the model provided for us. He doesn't like the word projections. And what I think are some of the top plays of the week. So without further ado, let's get into it. My wide receiver 1, listen, I'm not here for rage bait or clickbait or any kind of bait besides bait man, the master, Rashad. So he's not my wide receiver 1 on the week, but my wide receiver 1 on the week would be a hot take to some people, but it's going to be Drake London. Drake London against the Tampa Bay, at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a 2-point underdog with Michael Penix fully inserted into the starting role as a quarterback. Drake London's my wide receiver 1 on the week. My wide receiver 2 going to be Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase traveling to the Cleveland Browns and taking on, I believe, Denzel Ward, or Denzel, if you listen to Denzel Washington pronounce his name. Number 3, we got Brian Thomas at the Carolina Panthers. He might see shadow coverage from J.C. Horn, but when you're 6'3", 210 and run a low 4.3, I don't tend to care who's guarding you. It's probably going to go well. So he's my wide receiver 3. My wide receiver 4, Jaxon-Smith in Njigba versus the San Francisco 49ers. I really, really like this play this week. I think that there's going to be a lot more high quality offense being played in this game that people potentially are giving it credit for, with the current total over under sitting at 43.5 points. So we're looking at a team that, I know there's a lot of new moving parts, but they've got their offensive tackles healthy for now. So that should help with Sam Darnold's apparition problem that he suffers from whenever there's pressure. So maybe this goes better than we think. Number 5, coming in with Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton comes in taking on the Tennessee Titans in their home opener, the home opener for the Denver Broncos. Courtland Sutton comes in as my wide receiver 5. That might be a little spicy take, but there's no guy whose talent I believe in more who's locked in to 130 to 140 targets. With Bo Nix last year, Courtland Sutton did post about 18 points a game after the 0 burger that he posted against the Saints. So Courtland Sutton, my wide receiver 5 on the week. Number 6, Nico Collins traveling to the Los Angeles Rams and taking on the Los Angeles Rams. That was a lot of redundancy for no apparent reason. But yeah, Nico Collins, number 6. Number 7, we're moving on. Justin Jefferson versus the Chicago Bears, an interdivisional matchup. Hopefully the hamstring's all the way healthy and we get fully unleashed Justin Jefferson. And if J.J. McCarthy is the second coming of touchdown Jesus or Fran Tarkenton or whoever you think that he's going to be, this should be one of the most. I might be a little low on Justin Jefferson. Moving on, Malik Neighbors, wide receiver 8 on the week, traveling to the Washington Commanders and taking on the Commanders. So Malik Neighbors, wide receiver 8. Number 9, Amon-Ra St. Brown traveling to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Number 10, Puka Nacua taking on the Houston Texans at home in their home opener for the Los Angeles Rams. The Texans are coming in. That game has a chance to shoot out both defenses. The front 7 for the Rams is incredible. And the secondary, the Texans were one of the few teams in the league last year, I believe, to post an 8% sack rate and a 3% pressure INT rate. So really interested to see how this shakes out for Matthew Stafford coming off of the backiotomy. Moving on to number 11, we've got Teteroa McMillan. I'm extremely bullish on Teteroa McMillan. I don't care what Jacksonville has going on in secondary. It should be fireworks, but I'm interested to see just how this matchup plays out if they do decide to travel and shadow Travis Hunter on him out of the gate. But Teteroa McMillan, the big pineapple, comes in at number 11 on the week. Number 12, Mike Evans, in a game that I think has a chance to shoot out in a 47-point over-under in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome or whatever it's called. Atlanta's at home. They're a 2-point dog. This game's a 47.5 point over under. I like the over in it. Moving on, Ladd McConkey, number 13. Ladd McConkey going to Sao Paulo to take on the Chiefs down in Brazil for the season opener. I finished the season last year on a high note and set the playoff rookie record for receiving yards, 197. So looking to see if he continues to build on that chemistry with Justin Herbert, or they go more back to the Harbaugh and Greg Roman approach, where they're just pounding the ball into oblivion, which makes Omarion Hampton one of the sneaky values. But we talked about him in a previous video. This is a receiver video, and we're talking about Ladd McConkey. Number 14 in this is going to be a shock to some people. It's going to be Jameson Williams taking on Green Bay. They've got some question marks in their secondary, and we've got the coach's corner where John Morton's hyped up for him. Dan Campbell has alluded to the growth that's taken place and how J-Mo's completely bought into their program. And now you have a guy who had, the most catches of 50-plus yards in a featured role. He was just his full-time role, quote unquote, had him just 38th in routes run. So I think he can even take a step forward from the 14 points a game that he averaged this year. Moving on, Xavier Worthy, number 15, going to have an opportunity to be the featured guy. The fastest guy in the history of the NFL Combine is going to have a chance to be in the Rashee Rice, the low 8-out role, catch and run, creating opportunities for himself. So we can't ignore that, even though they are taking on the number one scoring defense from 2024 that allowed 18 points a game in the Los Angeles Chargers. So we'll see how that shakes out. I think that this could be an excellent play. He did have a big play the very first time that they played, and it was one of the few times that he and Mahomes, Xavier Worthy, were able to connect deep on the long ball for the Chiefs. That's been a point of contention. Like, Patrick Mahomes just forgot how to throw the deep ball. Come on now. Let's be serious with ourselves.
What's good? You know the phrase, the house always wins? Well, not anymore with our new sponsor, Profit X. Profit X, America's #1 sports prediction market, is a peer-to-peer sports prediction market where users play against each other instead of a sports book versus the house. You almost always get the best price in any spread, money line, total, and player prop, since you're playing against other people rather than the book. It looks just like a sports book, but with way better odds. So what are you waiting for? Go download the app and use promo code FFD to claim up to $200 in profit cash on all the plays you use in the first 30 days of playing on site. Link in the description. Now, let's get down to business. Let's find a play we like this week. Let's see here. Let's go Pittsburgh versus Jets. A little showdown between X's, if you will, Rodgers versus Fields. I think Pittsburgh D is going to be all over the Jets offense. Garrett Wilson may struggle to find much space very often. Fields is going to be under pressure. We already got some offensive line issues over there in New York. We know the other pass catching options for the Jets are very limited. So when I add all that up, I like Breece Hall over 2.5 receptions week 1 versus Pittsburgh. So again, if you want some of the best odds going, go over to Profit X. It's peer-to-peer, so you're not playing against the book. It's a fun, exciting new way to play. Use promo code FFD. What are you waiting for? Go download it today.
Then moving on from Xavier Worthy, we're going Zay Flowers. So from Zay to Zay. Xavier Worthy, Zay Flowers taking on the Buffalo Bills. I'm not too terribly excited about the matchup. They're going to play a ton of cover 6, cover 2. And, take away the big play. So Zay Flowers should be able to eat underneath and dominate if their game plan is not going to be Derrick Henry just right through the middle or through the heart of the Buffalo Bills defense. But we shall see. Number 17, we got Marvin Harrison at the New Orleans Saints. Number 18, we've got T. Higgins traveling to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns. Number 19, we got Terry McLaurin taking on the New York Giants. Number 20, Deebo Samuel in the same game. Number 21, we've got Stephon Diggs making his Patriots debut against the Las Vegas Raiders at home in Foxborough. Number 22, we've got Devontae Adams taking on the Houston Texans in his debut as a Los Angeles Ram. That's a really interesting one that I want to keep my eyes on because I think it's going to end up with Stingley providing shadow coverage on Devontae Adams, which would allow Puka Nacua to operate more freely. Devontae Adams is more known to operate as that solo X receiver. They do a lot of condensed formation. So what the What the answer to that might be would be coning the bunch. We don't have to get into that right now. That's more of a real football thing that you guys may or may not be interested in. But moving on, we've got Tyreek Hill taking on Indianapolis. Tyreek Hill, not a fan this year. This could be a great matchup, though. That Lou Anarumo takes over as the defensive coordinator after Gus Bradley was fired for just playing cover 3 or cover 1, like one high shell, middle of the field closed for an exorbitant amount of time. And then they tried to switch to cover 2 to contain it. Anyway, Tyreek Hill, not a fan, moved from 3rd and first read target share in 2023 to 45th in 2024. And that's including the games. If I exclude the games that Tua missed. So the Dolphins have clearly told him that they want to move on from him as the focal point of the offense. That could mean good things for somebody else, but it doesn't mean good things for Tyreek Hill, and it doesn't mean good things for Tyreek Hill this particular week. Moving on to number 24, we got DK Metcalf making his Steelers debut against the Jets. He probably will see a lot of coverage from Sauce Gardner. I don't care. I don't know how this offense is going to look, but the reason that he's this low is because I don't believe that this is going to be a high volume passing attack, and no wide receiver in an Arthur Smith offense has ever seen more than 117 targets. Cough, Drake London. And Arthur Smith is the guy that made us believe that Drake London, me included, okay, I was personally harmed by this. We can start a class action suit if you want to, but made us believe that Bijan, okay, Arthur Smith, Arthur Juan Kenobi, AJ Brown, we're here for his book club. He made us believe that, these guys were just regular talents. And so DK Metcalf will be 3rd on the death note for Arthur Smith. So we can move on. We don't have to spend too much time there. 25, Garrett Wilson. There's a receiver that I dislike in this matchup more than DK Metcalf, and it's Garrett Wilson, mostly because of the fact that they've got a trio of corners that's absolutely diabolical. He's going to be in a Hell in a Cell match just to get open, and we've seen the accuracy issues from Justin Fields early in the offseason, so that's why he comes in a little bit lower than consensus here. DJ Moore comes in at number 26, taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Jacoby Myers comes in at number 27. He's not getting traded. He said, he asked for a trade. They wrote him back and said no, and that was the end of that. 28, we've got Jalen Waddle taking on the Indianapolis Colts. 29, we've got Calvin Ridley taking on the Denver Broncos. 30, we've got Ricky Pearsall taking on the Seattle Seahawks. He's going to be the featured guy for the first time in his career. And last year when he got featured, so that's kind of an idiosyncrasy, isn't it? I say this is the first time he's going to be a featured guy, but he got featured last year. Anyway, what you need to know is Ricky Pearsall is going to be the primary passing game option as the wide receivers go for the San Francisco 49ers. And I think that he's got a good chance to beat this ranking this week, but there's only 30 spots. And I couldn't put him ahead of any of these guys yet. He was my wide receiver 27 in my final iteration of my rankings. But for this week, he comes in at wide receiver 30. Rome Odunze comes in at wide receiver 31. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that Rome Odunze is going to do work this year. He only had 59 catchable targets. He turned that into 54 receptions for 734 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was 10th in deep targets and 11th in red zone targets. So I think that he takes a step forward this year. He's the only one with no skill set overlap between all the other wide receivers. So Ben Johnson's going to play a ton of 12 personnel. I think that benefits Rome Odunze because that just means that he's going to be one of the receivers in the 2 receiver sets of 12 personnel. That's 1 back, 2 tight ends, which means there's 2 receivers on the field. So anyway, like I said, Rome Odunze, I'm a little bit more bullish, but we can move on. Emeka Egbuka comes in, wide receiver 32 for me. Emeka Egbuka taking on the Falcons. I just want as many pieces in this game as humanly possible. I was trying to find a way to get Darnell Mooney in here, but he's not going to make the list. But I'm just going to be honest with you. When we move to the next section of this show, I'm going to talk about why I want as many pieces as possible in this game. Moving on to wide receiver 33, Josh Downs against the Dolphins. The Dolphins secondary has been retooled a bit. They do get Minkah Fitzpatrick. They lose Jalen Ramsey. I don't know what that's going to look like. Kader Kohu isn't going to be locking anybody down. So I'm not really too concerned. Josh Downs would be higher, but I'm interested to see how the hammy plays out and if he is at full strength. Khalil Shakir, coming off a high ankle sprain, comes in at number 34 against the Baltimore Ravens. Number 35, Jerry Jeudy against the Bengals. Now, interested to see how this one plays out just because of the fact that we don't know. We think it's going to be really good with Flacco. We know it's been really good for David Njoku with Joe Flacco before. And we think that Jerry Jeudy's proven that he's a talented receiver. He did have the vaunted 5th-year breakout. So let's see if he continues the momentum. And last but not least, this is a name that, an oldie but a goodie. And he's going to hold it down for the older guys. Keenan Allen comes in at number 36 against the Chiefs. Keenan Allen, noted elite separator. KA13 Slayer is going to slay this week against the Chiefs in Sao Paulo. That last time we had a game down there, the field conditions were absolutely abhorrent. And, the one thing you don't want to do is have to guess which direction Keenan Allen, who's one of the most elite lateral movers in the entire NFL, guess what direction he's going. Because if you're wrong, he's going to have a whole screen's worth of separation and you're going to be looking for another job. So that closes out my top 36. Let's go over some key differences in where Quality Stats Model has some players and where I have them. So the biggest one, obviously, is Drake London. He's number 1 in my rankings for the week. He's number 11 in consensus. Moving on, Puka Nacua, okay, is number 10 in my rankings, and he would be number 2 in the Quality Stats per model, not projections. Okay, guys, different. Projections implies that that human element has been added into a statistical foundation of something. So we're not going to do that. The model likes Puka Nacua as wide receiver 2. JSN is number 23 in the model's projections. Courtland Sutton is number 37. I did the top 36, but we can go deeper. Nico Collins, that's negligible. And then we're talking about Tetaroa McMillan being another one of the guys that's really, I've steamed up quite a bit, and I think that he has a chance to really get off to a fast start. And then Jameson Williams coming in at number 33 versus me having him at wide receiver 14. Zay Flowers comes in at number 27 in the model as opposed to number 16. And then let's see, let's find one more. Let's see if we have one more here that's gonna be, oh yeah, Calvin Ridley, Ricky Pearsall, and Rome Odunze all are outside of the top 50. Rome Odunze actually comes in at number 48 in the model, but I have them respectively. Calvin Ridley's number 29. He's number 49. Ricky Pearsall is number 30. The model has him at 58. Rome Odunze, as I said, is 48. I have him at wide receiver 31. Mika Ibuka is at wide receiver 32. The model has him at 61. And last but not least, Josh Downs is number 33 in my rankings, and the model has him at number 60. So please, if you made it this far to the video, please consider liking, downloading, subscribing. Go follow us and give us, leave us a 5-star review on the FFD radio. And as always, you can see that there's a new sponsor for the show, Profit X. Download Profit X and use promo code FFD to get a deposit match. We're big fans. I mean, it's a peer-to-peer app where you can challenge your friends and place your own wagers and cut out the juice from the middleman. So really excited to be partnered with them. And this has been the Ranking Show. I'm really excited to continue doing these on a weekly basis. I'm a little under the weather, so my voice might sound a little bit different, but we're going to be bringing these to you. These will usually release a day earlier. Memorial Day. Labor Day got us this week, but we'll be back on track next week. And until next time, there's ball watchers and there's ball knowers. Assign yourselves accordingly.